I hope you will never try to project yourself. Be still and let God be the doer. That is our safety. That is the fence around the vineyard. The temptation is always to reach, to thrust, to send thought or force to a person or a problem out there. Don't ever tamper with a cosmic law as if it were a private tool. It is a double-edged sword. If you try to use it, it will use you, and you will not like the terms. Be still and know. Let the Father within you do the works. Now, the paradox that dislodges fear. You can't leave what you were never in. You cannot get out of a prison cell that never held you. You can't get out of the body because you were never in it. No, no. I am not in the physical, absent from the body, present with the Lord. Do you hear the direction? Not an escape, but a recognition. Not a leaving, but a dawning. Presence is not attained by travel. Presence is realized by truth. Safety begins not when you learn how to go out, but when you awaken to the fact that there is no in and there is no out in God. Why is this so vital? Because the instant you believe you are inside a body, you will begin to engineer a way out. Technique, tension, timelines, and terror. And then you will try to project help across distance, as if help were a package and you the courier. That is the old idolatry in a new outfit, another God beside God. A God of personal power, a God of mental manipulation. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. In the kingdom, there are no energy tactics, no mental pushes, no currents to send. There is only God being God, where you are, where your loved one appears to be, where any need seems to arise. One presence, one power, one law. So, I say gently, protectively, refuse the impulse to send. Refuse the flurry of the mind that wants to fix. Refuse even the pious form of worry that masquerades as love. Be still, turn within, not to act, but to consent. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace, not my reach. Thy grace, not my pressure. Thy grace, not my plan. When the mind quiets and the heart ceases from its labors, grace has room to be what it eternally is. Do you see how simple this is? Ethical safety is not a fence we build. It is an obedience we enter. We do not handle law. We honor law. We do not generate blessing. We witness blessing. We do not move spirit. Spirit is the very life that moves us. And in that recognition, the fear of distance dissolves. There is no distance in God, absent from the body, present with the Lord. Here I rest, here I let, here I know. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And in that sufficiency, there is nothing to project, nothing to push, nothing to defend, only God, the doer, and we, the transparency through which God shines. Well then, where is this I that would try to go out or to send? When I say I, how are you going to localize that? Here in the head? Here in the chest? No. If I move my hand to the temple, is the I now under the fingers? If I point to the heart, have I captured the I behind the ribs? If I shift to the toes, do I become small and far away? No. The very moment I ask you to find the I, you discover you cannot draw a circle around it. You cannot box it. You cannot weigh it. You cannot take its temperature. The I that is speaking, the I that is aware, the I that loves God and neighbor, where would you put it? No surgeon has ever yet found any me inside of a body. They have found arteries and organs. They have found glands and synapses. Marvels of engineering, yes, but no me. Open a skull, and you do not find a thinker. You find brain tissue. Open a chest, and you do not find love. You find a beating heart. The me is not caught in the scalpel. The me is not on the microscope slide. In him we live and move and have our being. Do you see? Being is not inside a mechanism. The mechanism is observed within being. The kingdom of God is within you, but not within cartilage or within a chamber of muscle, within as presence, within as spirit, within as the I that is one with I am. Your spiritual you isn't confined to the material body. You can't leave it because you aren't in it, and you never have been in it. I am not in the physical. I am not a local packet to be pushed along some mental pipeline. I and my Father are one. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea, and because that is so, there is no distance to traverse and nothing to send. What would I send when the sender and the sending and the being sent to are one life? This is why projection is not only unnecessary, it is unsafe to attempt. Projection presumes locality, it presumes separation, it presumes a force under personal management that belongs to the realm of physics and power games. It does not belong to the gospel of spirit. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Do not make a god of methods. Do not make a god of mental current. Be still and know that I am God. When I rest in the I that is not locatable, not pushable, not manipulable, then grace fulfills itself without interference. So we begin to live delocalized, absent from the body, present with the Lord. Not absent by travel, but absent by recognition. Quietly, I withdraw attention from the skull, from the spine, from the pulse, and I consent to the I that is indivisible, universal, holy. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not my pressure, not my projection. Thy grace. God is the actor, and the doer, and the beer. I am merely the transparency. Here I find safety. Here I find truth. Here I find the I that cannot be pushed, only realized. Now, if I am not in the physical, if the I is not a point to be pushed, what then unites us across the appearance of miles and minutes? Only this. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Not my sentiment, not my intention, not my concentration, my conscious oneness with God. I and my Father are one. And because that is true, the Son of that oneness is universal relationship. The bridge is not laid from me to you. The bridge is God, already spanning, already whole. Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence? When presence is presence, where is the gap to cross? Oneness, not distance, is the medium of blessing. Think for a moment. When the sun appears, does it send a cable to each leaf? No. Light is, and leaves receive, because they are in the one field of light. So with spirit, there is no psychic line, no willing, no sending. Be still and know that I am God. In that stillness, knowing replaces going, realization replaces reaching, and what we call help arrives not from here to there, but from the one to itself. This is not a human union. This is not sympathy. This is not thought strain. It is not even religious fervor. It is God recognizing God, life acknowledging its own life. When I settle into that recognition, I do not move toward you, I awaken to the one in which you and I already are. Lo, I am with you always, not sometimes, not at close range only, always. Omnipresence is not a doctrine to admire. It is the atmosphere to breathe. And when we breathe it, the fictitious geography of separation dissolves like mist in morning sun. I have learned this not by theory, but by obedience. Many times I have sat in quiet with no word and no intention to fix, and I have felt that holy hush, no currents, no pushes, just the awareness. God is on the field, and in that very hour, without message sent and without plan, letters would later tell of fear quieted, of confusion clearing, of a door opening, not because I reached, but because the one is one, as the scripture says. It is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. God the actor, I the transparency. God the doer, I the witness. So I counsel you gently, refuse the old habits of effort. No sending, no willing, no psychic line, only realization. Sit in the simple fact again and again until it outweighs every appearance. In my oneness with God, I find connection without interference. In my oneness with God, I find sufficiency without struggle. In my oneness with God, I find that what looked far is already fulfilled at the center. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace, not my grasp. Thy grace, not my method. And because grace is indivisible, it is everywhere at once, answering without travel, completing without command. If there is one presence, there must be one law. Hear it in the ancient words that never age. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Not a God of personal power, not a God of technique, not a God of mental current dressed up as spirituality. One God, no other methods. As soon as we imagine that a method can accomplish what only God is, we have set up an idol and asked it to perform. No, no. As you sow, so shall ye reap. Principle is exact, impersonal, unflattering to our ambition, and exquisitely faithful to itself. It does not reward fervor. It answers obedience. Think of it in the plain arithmetic of life. 2 times 2 is 4. It is not 4 because I am devout, nor 5 because I am desperate. When I violate that principle, I do not bring a vengeful mathematician upon me. I meet the consequence inherent in the law. Balance sheets do not rage, they reveal. It is the same with traffic law. Run a red light, and it is not the lamp that is angry. Collision is simply the arithmetic of disobedience. So in spirit, be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Cosmic law is not sentimental. It is pure, being functioning as order, and it will not be used for private ends. There can be no selfish purpose in a cosmic law. None. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Not love thy neighbor for thyself, not love to get, to prove, to possess. Love thy neighbor as thyself, because in God there is only the one life seen as many. The moment motive slips into getting even spiritual, getting the stream is muddied, and we call the muddiness mystery. It is not mystery. It is mixture. Obedience is simple. One God, no other methods. Love without bargaining. Release outcomes. Refuse interference. This is why I say gently and firmly, do not attempt to bend law to produce a result for you or for yours. You will only bruise yourself on the edge of an impersonal sword. Do not try to drive spirit like a team of horses. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Harmony is not engineered. It appears wherever consciousness ceases from its devices and consents to principle. When I withdraw my cleverness, law stands forth as order. When I drop demand, grace reveals sufficiency. When I refuse methods, presence is method enough. So we stand upon the ground of God alone. No projection, no pressure, no private magic. We honor law by getting out of its way. And at once, the order that belongs to one, life begins to show itself as right relationship, right timing, right unfoldment, because the law is living itself through us. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, not my technique, not my will, not my management, only thy grace, exact as 2 times 2, tender as love thy neighbor, absolute as thou shalt have no other gods before me. Let us speak tenderly but without evasion. Don't ever tamper with a cosmic law. It is a double-edged sword. When you take law in hand to accomplish a private end, you have already confessed the belief in 2 powers and 2 methods, and you have stepped under the blade you thought to wield. Projection is exactly that mistake. It presumes a personal will and a personal power, both false gods. It says in its heart, I will make something happen. No, no, thou shalt have no other gods before me. The very moment I imagine that my thought, my current, my intensity can cross a distance and bring a result, I have bowed before an idol of my own psychology and turned my back on the one who alone is life and law. Picture the simplest street corner lesson. The signal is red. If I rush the crossing because my errand feels holy or urgent, the collision that follows does not come from a wrathful lamp. It comes from my disregard. Impact visits the violator. So with projection, be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. If I sow interference, even pious interference, I reap entanglement. If I take up the sword of mental pressure, I perish by that sword, not destroyed by God, but cut by the very edge I gripped. The hurt is not metaphysical vengeance, it is arithmetic. It is consequence inherent in disobedience to one law. Think of electricity. In obedience, it lights a city, warms a child, sings through a violin. In disobedience, miswired and grabbed at with wet hands, it burns the very one who grasps it. Spirit is not electricity, but the analogy stands. You cannot appropriate an impersonal principle for a personal agenda without scorching the hand that presumes to own it. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The moment I introduce my might or my power, I re-enter the realm of resistance and sparks. For this reason, I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts. I hope you will never try to do it. I do not lay hands to convey a force, and I do not send thought to push an outcome. When letters arrive telling of help felt at a distance, I can only say what is true. I did not project. I consented, and let me confess the discipline that taught me. In an early hour of this work, I permitted a subtle desire for result to creep in only compassion, I thought. The inner climate changed at once. A strain entered the system. The peace thinned. The clarity dulled. No one punished me. I had simply stepped into cross traffic against the signal. The rebound was, to me, to my quiet, to my transparency. I put the sword down. I returned to the sanctuary. Be still and know that I am God. Understand this as protection, not prohibition. The law will not be used. It will only be honored. Any attempt to project manipulates law, and rebounds upon the one who uses it. But the instant we refuse interference and renounce private power, the edge is sheathed, the traffic clears, the current flows harmlessly as light. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, not my projection, not my pressure. Thy grace, exact as principle, tender as love, and in that grace no harm returns, for nothing was sent. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. The safe alternative is not a technique. It is a relinquishment. Hear the Master. I can of mine own self do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. That is the whole method. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. When I cease from my cleverness, from my urgency, from the itch to help by pushing, I discover the one presence already acting as order, as peace, as sufficiency. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Not invent the salvation, not drive the salvation. See it, yield to it, consent that God be God. Therefore I refuse occult contact. I will not send currents. I will not lay hands to convey a force. I will not advise a human plan. I will not fix. I choose silence. I turn within, not to manipulate, but to surrender. Be still and know that I am God. If you need a password to close the door on the mind's busy corridor, let it be this, and let it be enough. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let that be the password. Thy grace, not my projection. Thy grace, not my pressure. Thy grace, not my opinion about how good should arrive. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. In the moment a call comes, the first temptation is to run out with thought, with sympathy, with urgent counsel. No, no. Lay it down. Retire from the outer picture as you would step out of a room filled with clamor. Close the lips. Quiet the eyes. Refuse images. Refuse distance. Refuse even the name and form fixation that invites you to tinker. Let consciousness become still enough for the divine initiative to announce itself. Do not ask for a sign. Do not demand a time. Wait in holy consent. Thy will be done. And when the hush takes the place of hurry, when the sense of God on the field supersedes your sense of need on the field, be content. The work is God's, and God's work is self-fulfilling. Again and again I have proved this. Not by sending anything anywhere, but by getting out of the way. Letters have told of fear that loosened, of pain that quieted, of decisions that clarified in the very hour when I sat in silence and did not act. I can only echo Scripture. It is the Father within me. He doeth the works. As the branch cannot of itself bear fruit, except it abide in the vine, no more can I bring forth harmony, except I abide in God. Abide, do not act. Consent, do not contrive. And the fruit appears of itself, because life bears witness to itself. So our safety is exact and simple. I do not push, I do not send, I do not advise. I yield. I acknowledge one presence, one power, one law, and I rest as transparency to it. If a word must be said within, let it be only this until it becomes marrow and breath. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let that be the password. In my refusal to interfere, conscience is clean, law is honored, and grace unobstructed, unpressured, unpushed, does what grace forever does. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. And in that holy order, safety is not promised, it is realized. Now we come to the simple gate of practice. Not a technique to make something happen, but a posture that refuses interference and invites receptivity. Be still and know that I am God. It begins with a chair, ordinary, comfortable, low enough that the feet can find the floor without strain. Sit as you might sit to listen, not to do. Let the spine settle as a mast without stiffness, the head poised as if a hand of light were under the crown. Close the eyes, not for magic, but to quiet the traffic of sight. Let the hands lie lightly in the lap or upon the thighs, fingers unhooked, arms unbraced. Do not perch upon armrests that invite tension. Let the shoulders fall. Breathe as breath chooses. There is no occult reason for any of this, only one of physical comfort, so the senses can be quieted and the heart can become available. In this position, with my eyes closed, I am virtually unaware of having a body. I am not in the physical. I do not try to climb out of it. I simply remove it from thought. The chair holds the form. I do not have to. The lungs breathe. I do not have to. The heart beats. I do not have to. Take no thought for your life, said the Master, not indifference to duty, but release from management in the holy hour. As the senses dim to a soft background, I rest attention upon the invisible, not looking for a picture, not straining for a feeling, only consenting that what is be as it is. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, shut the door to images of persons, places, problems. Shut the door to yesterday's story and tomorrow's plan. Enter the closet of awareness and let the door be shut. Now wait. Wait as listening waits for a note to sound, but do not summon the note. Desireless, agenda-free, want nothing, not even a spiritual experience. Do not reach for a sign, a word, a warmth, a light. No, no. The reaching would be the old projection in a new garment. Rest and let God be God. If a word is needed to still the mind's commerce, let it be soft and enough. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Whisper it inwardly, once, twice, and then be quiet. Thy grace no other, my sufficiency in all things. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Do not initiate thought. Receive. Do not push prayer. Let prayer happen as presence, recognizing itself. If a fear knocks, acknowledge it and let it pass. Do not argue. If a face appears in memory, bless it by releasing it to God and return to stillness. We are not sending. We are not solving. We are not advising. We are consenting. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. In such a posture, the body is off the stage. The senses are hushed, and consciousness stands open, unarmed, unhurried, unattached to the one who fills all in all. This is safety. This is obedience. This is the setup for grace to do what grace forever does. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And we wait. And then, without my summoning, it happens. It may be sudden. It may be like dawn that no one can timestamp. I wait. Nothing is asked. Nothing is pushed. And finally the click comes. Not a sound, yet it registers. Not a sensation in the flesh. For I am not in the physical, absent from the body, present with the Lord. It is as if a key turns on a door that was never truly locked, and the room I was in is quietly the temple of God. No words need be spoken. The presence announces itself as itself. The kingdom of God is within you. The inward weather changes. A hush takes authority in the heart. Peace, be still, and there is no longer a seeker and a sought. There is only I and the Father are one. In that instant, identity is not argued. It is obvious. I am now consciously unioned with God. All that the Father hath is flowing right up through here. Hear that. All that the Father hath wisdom, love, law, order, life, flowing, not parceled out, not rationed, not negotiated, flowing as a river that never learned drought. All things that the Father hath are mine, not mine as possession, but mine as oneness. The branch does not strain when sap fills it. It simply abides, and fruit appears. So with the click, abide, and let the vine live its life. It is the Father within me. He doeth the works. Do not mistake this union for excitement. It is not fireworks. It is foundation. It does not agitate. It settles. It does not inflate the person. It dissolves the person into presence. In the click, there is no urge to send, no itch to shape, no script to deliver. The old appetite to project has no footing, for there is no there to reach and no here to push from. Oneness is its own atmosphere, and blessing is its natural diffusion. As fragrance goes out from a blossom without effort, as light radiates when a switch is turned and no wire boasts, so grace proceeds from realized presence without personal interference. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Often in that union a simple inner certainty stands. God is on the field. That is enough. I do not hold it. I do not measure it. I do not capitalize it. If thought slips in to say, now send this to that one, I know at once I have stepped away from the altar. No, no. Return to the hush. Let the Father be the Father. Sometimes, afterward, a letter arrives or a word comes back, and it will speak of fear quieted or a way opening at that very hour. I cannot take credit, and I dare not, for I did not act. Realization did. The click of union replaces every technique. Realization does the work. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let that be the password. In this holy click, there is nothing to do, and all is done. For the one is being the one, and I rest. How then does help arrive when nothing is sent? By the same law that lights a room when a switch is turned, light does not travel down halls carrying packages. It simply is, and where it is, the darkness yields. So with realized presence, again and again, without my moving a muscle toward a personal problem, letters have come. They do not flatter. They witness. One from Holland said, at 2 a.m, a strange quiet filled the room. It seemed you stood by the bed, but I did not stand by any bed. I sat in a chair 5,000 miles away and did not move, absent from the body, present with the Lord. Another from a mother in Iowa. The fear that had kept the child in tears for days broke like a thin shell. We slept. I had no counsel to give, no current to send. I had only the click, and into that hush I whispered nothing but consent. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. You see the difference? Not projection, realization. Not mental travel, conscious union. Lo, I am with you always. That is presence, not a commute. Omnipresence is not a force I aim. It is God being God everywhere alike. When consciousness ceases from its labors and stands as transparency, the one that is everywhere becomes apparent as order where disorder seemed to be. He sent his word and healed them. The word is not a thought hurled across space. It is the living recognition of God as the only life here, there, and through all. In the click, That word is heard without syllables. It does the work, and no man can boast. Sometimes the report says, in that hour, the pressure in the chest loosened, or clarity came to sign the paper we had dreaded. I cannot claim cause, and I will not. It is the Father within me, he doeth the works. At other times, no outward event is recorded, yet a deep peace takes the helm. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you, and the very capacity to wait replaces the panic to act. Do you understand how holy that is? To be kept from interference is itself a healing. Let me say it plainly so we are safe. I do not enter another's mind. I do not touch another's will. I do not lean upon another's body with a force of thought. No, no. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument, the witness of God with us. Absent from the body, present with the Lord, that is non-local availability. Not to me, but to God's own selfhood dawning where it already is. And so help appears, not because we reached out, but because we stood aside. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. In that sufficiency, the need and its answer meet without our intrusion, and we, quiet and grateful, bear witness. When the phone rings with a report of fever, when a child's eyes cloud with worry, when a parent's breath is short and the calendar is full of appointments, the first impulse is to reach, to arrange, to compel outcomes by care that has become fear. No, no, do not let love turn into pressure. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Taking thought is not adding life. It is fastening our dear ones to the very image we dread. Real love releases. Fear clutches. Real love says, I and my Father are one. And because of that oneness, I can trust the Father's life to be the life of all who appear in my circle. When fear for loved ones rises, refuse at once the invisible hand that would push, pry, or project. Step back within. Be still and know that I am God. How do we love without control? Begin here, simple and exact. In my oneness with God, I find their safety, their peace, their sufficiency. Whisper it until it is not words, but recognition. In my oneness with God, I find their safety, their peace, their sufficiency. Then stop. Do not send it. Do not imagine it traveling. Pray only this and be still. Thy grace is their sufficiency in all things. Thy grace, no other, their sufficiency in all things. And then refuse to move the inner needle. Wait. Cast all your care upon him, for he careth for you. Casting care is not casting a net over your loved one. It is dropping your grip into God. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. And in this moment, even the instrument is silent. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. What is that, if not the refusal to meddle? If I do not wish to be managed by another's anxiety, then I must not manage another by mine. Perfect love casteth out fear. Not fear harnessed to love cast out. Do not transmit agitation with your texts, your looks, your hovering. Anxiety is a subtle hypnosis that says, you are this problem. Be careful not to breathe. No, no. See them as God sees, whole in the one, hidden with Christ in God, under the everlasting arms. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment releases. It does not imprison. When a report comes, Sit down before you speak. Enter your closet and shut the door on images of tubes and charts. I do not enter another's mind. I do not touch another's will. I refuse to picture an outcome. For pictures are idols, absent from the body, present with the Lord. I abide there, and I know them there too, not after the flesh, but after spirit. If a call must be made, let it be kind and brief and free of force. If a visit must be given, let it carry no current, but peace. Let your very presence say without words, God is on the field. More than once, a parent has written, when I stopped reciting danger and began to rest in, thy grace is their sufficiency, the house became quiet, and we knew what to do without panic. That is not the triumph of a method. That is the fruit of non-interference. It is the Father within me. He doeth the works. So when family and health worries arise, do the holiest thing you can do. Withdraw pressure, refuse projection, renounce management, and love by releasing. In my oneness with God, I find their safety, their peace, their sufficiency. Thy grace is their sufficiency in all things. And in that releasing love, help appears of itself, not because you fasten them to your fear, but because you set them free in God. Boundaries are not fences around love. They are hedges around the holy. To keep this work God-centered and the conscience clean, I must say what I have practiced. I never give human advice. Counsel belongs to God. Do not come to me asking, shall I sign? Shall I go? Shall I stay? Shall I choose this or that? No. No. If I touch your will with my will, I have tied us both to a yoke that is not Christ's. If any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God. The word you need is not mine. It is the Father within me. He doeth the works. If the Father is the doer, the Father is also the counselor. My part is to be silent enough that you are turned Godward, not Joelward, not personality-ward. Let your ear be tuned to the shepherd's voice. My sheep hear my voice. With boundaries come refusals that protect us. No promises, no guarantees, no timelines. This is law, not personality. Ask me, how long will it take? And I must answer, as long as surrender takes, as short as grace chooses. Ask me, will you work at 3 o'clock? And I must refuse to schedule God. We are not booking omnipresence into an appointment book as if the infinite were a clerk. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The moment I promise an outcome or mark a calendar for a miracle, I have departed from law into manipulation. The conscience knows it, and the peace departs. Think like an engineer, and you will understand. If the foundation is square and true, if the footings are poured on bedrock, if the plumb line is honored, the structure stands. If you pour on sand, if you flatter the blueprint, if you bend the code to meet a deadline, the house may rise, but it will not stand the weather. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Law is the foundation. Obedience is the plumb line. Silence is the curing time for the concrete of consciousness. Personality rushing the set only builds cracks into the wall. We do not decorate the scaffolding and call it shelter. We honor the unseen measurements that keep a roof over the child. So here, one God, no other methods. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Refuse interference. Build there, and you need not prop the beam with promises. Therefore, in practice, we hold silence, not steering wheels. We do not seize the helm of another's life and shout directions across the wind. We do not steer outcomes with pep talks or fears disguised as care. We steer nothing. We stand still. Be still and know that I am God. If a word must be said, it is inward and few. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let that be the password. Then we wait for the click or for the quiet without a click, and we move only as moved. These are not austerities. They are mercies. Clear boundaries keep the work God-centered and the conscience clean. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument, and the instrument, beloved, must not play itself. Now let us prove it. Where shoes squeak on floors and phones light up, do not wait for the lion's den. Begin with the hallway and the kitchen, a meeting at 9, a call from the client, a child's voice rising across the room. Make each an altar. Before you enter. Before you speak, be still. 1 minute will do when it is whole. Close the door of your senses and knock at the door of your own consciousness. Seek for God and you shall find good. Not a better argument, not a sharper technique, good. Whisper it once to seal the chamber. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Then become absent from the body, present with the Lord. Do not carry agendas into the silence. Leave your briefcase outside. Suppose you are about to face a difficult table of faces. Sit in the car or pause at a stairwell landing. No projection, no rehearsal. Let the inner word take its throne. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Therefore, I do not need to sway a single mind. I need only abide. It is the Father within me. He doeth the works. Walk in without armor. I have witnessed this too many times to question it. The heat drops a degree. A phrase no one planned appears and opens a window. A stalemate loosens because peace has entered the room by a door no one can see. Not always with trumpets, but always this. You are no longer a contributor to friction, and that alone changes the arithmetic. Try the law at home. When two voices in the kitchen climb a ladder, do not add your rung. Step away, shut the door, and let the single take the field. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Say it once and be quiet. Return with a soft answer. A soft answer turneth away wrath. Do not manage. Do not mete out verdicts. Watch how tone becomes a sacrament, and doors that slam decide not to. This is not psychology. It is obedience. One God, no other methods. Practice with email. Your hands are on the keys, and the pulse is quicker. Stop, seek, knock. Sometimes you will not send it at all. Sometimes you will send 2 sentences where 2 pages once rambled. Often the other message arrives while you are quiet, as if the storm remembered the ocean it belongs to. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Let the golden rule be your street light. As ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. This is not sectarian courtesy. It is cosmic law, spoken in Hebrew and Greek, echoed in Sanskrit and Chinese, centuries before and after, one rhythm of mercy that predates our calendars. When you refuse pressure and grant to others the freedom you crave, no manipulation, no inner shoving, you are aligned with universality, and harmony follows as naturally as 2 times 2 is 4. Keep witness, not tally marks of outcomes, but a quiet noticing. When I refrain from pushing and realize oneness, what happens? Time and again you will see that realized oneness outperforms control. Rooms cool, words find their right size. The day takes its own right shape. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Seek for God and you shall find good. Knock, and the door opens within then, almost shyly without. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, and it is. Now we come to the quiet hinge upon which the whole door swings. Motive. Before we sit, before we speak, let one question clear the room. Do I want something from them or only God's will for them? Search it out. Do I want relief for my nerves, proof for my theology, gratitude at the end of the day, reputation among friends, or do I want only that God be God in them, through them, as them, without my fingerprints anywhere upon it? Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Clean heart means desireless heart. No getting, no proving, no showing only. Thy will be done. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Purity is not a moral polish. It is absence of self-aim. When there is no self-aim, there is no friction in the channel, and grace runs free. When there is self-aim, the most delicate kind of grit enters the bearings, and even a true law grinds. You cannot bribe 2 times 2 to be 5 by fervor. You cannot sweet talk gravity into letting the foundation float. It is the same with spiritual law. As ye sow, so shall ye reap. Sow a seed of getting, reap a harvest of strain. So the simplicity of thy will be done, reap rest and right result appearing of itself. Here is the peace that ends 1,000 negotiations. When I want nothing you have, and you want nothing I have, there's no war. No war in marriage, no war in business, no war in ministry. If I do not covet your consent, your money, your applause, your agreement, I cannot be tempted to bend law for an outcome. If you want nothing of mine, not my guidance, not my charisma, not my aura, you cannot be tempted to hitch your life to my opinions. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Serve God alone, and mammon loses its vocabulary. Therefore remove reward and reputation from the work. Take heed that ye do not your alms before men, to be seen of them. Do not accumulate letters as trophies. Do not fish for thanks. Do not schedule a demonstration to prove a point. No, no, we are not in show business. We are in obedience. Refuse sensation seeking. Do not chase warmth, lights, currents, trances. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Signs follow, they are never pursued. The moment you turn to catch them, you have turned your back on the altar. Make desirelessness your ethical filter before every period of prayer, before every call, before every threshold you cross. Ask it softly. Do I want anything from this person, this moment, this hour, anything? If the answer is yes, lay it on the altar until it burns down to nothing. Then enter the closet. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. In my oneness with God, I find my completeness. Therefore, I have nothing to take, nothing to prove, nothing to sell. Pure motive, no getting, no proving, keeps the channel clear. So let the heart pray without ornament. Thy will be done. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy will only, thy grace all things. And rest now. A word about the traps that wait just outside the closet door. Anxiety is a salesman with a stopwatch. It whispers, how long will this take? When will it happen? Can we nudge it along? No, no, do not watch the clock. Grace is not a schedule. With patience possess ye your souls. A farmer who stares at seed and shouts for harvest only bruises the soil. The law of life is not bullied by a calendar. Now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. Now meaning presence, not the second hand. When you notice yourself glancing inward at an imagined deadline or bargaining with hours, stop. Step back into the timeless. Be still and know that I am God. We do not schedule omnipresence. We surrender to it. Then there is spectacle. The senses crave theater lights behind the eyes, currents in the hands, a warmth that could be bottled, a tremor that proves something is happening. Do not seek lights, sounds, tingles. Seek God alone. No, no. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed. Believed what? That God is, that I and the Father are one without a stage show. Signs follow. They are never pursued. The moment you turn to catch them, you have turned your back on the altar and faced a mirror. Let the senses rest. The click is not pyrotechnic. It is peace, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. And what when fear surges, when pulse lifts, breath shortens, and the mind rehearses trouble? Do not argue. Do not project. Return to the password that opens the inner door. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Whisper it once. Let it mean what it says. Thy grace, no other, my sufficiency in all things. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God, and the peace of God shall keep your hearts and minds. Let the peace do the keeping. Let the word do the work. Absent from the body, present with the Lord, rest there. If images rise, bless and release them. If urgency climbs the ladder, step off the rung. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Finally, forgive the faulter. The mind says, you failed again, you chased the feeling, you checked the clock, you got afraid. No, no. 70 times 7 is the mathematics of mercy. I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7, you have as much right to forgive yourself 70 times 7 as to forgive your neighbor. Self-forgiveness resets receptivity. Begin again as often as breath returns. Knock, and it shall be opened. If you find yourself outside, again, knock again. Law does not resent repetition. It responds to alignment. As ye sow, so shall ye reap. So rest, reap right, result appearing of itself. So drop urgency and spectacle, return to grace and begin again. Seek God alone. Be still. Let the Father within do the works. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And we begin again. In the hush where interference ends, sufficiency dawns not as a private stash, but as a climate. In my oneness with God, I find completeness, security, peace, joy, fulfillment. Hear it until it ceases to be a sentence and becomes a state. In my oneness with God, I find completeness, nothing missing, security, nothing threatened, peace, nothing troubled, joy, nothing borrowed, fulfillment, nothing postponed. And because my conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea, what flowers in one heart becomes fragrance for many. How good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Unity is not uniformity. It is the end of using and the birth of mutual sufficiency. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. When that is true in me, It becomes air. Others can breathe. Do you see how cooperation replaces competition when grace is the economy? Competition is the child of believing in two powers and a short supply. Cooperation is the fruit of one God and an infinite givingness. When I am not seeking to get, I cannot be your rival. When you are not seeking to get, you cannot be my threat. As ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. This is not etiquette, it is law. Obey it within no grasping, no proving, and something remarkable appears without. The meeting lightens, the market softens, the family remembers laughter. Harmony follows obedience to impersonal spiritual law, not clever technique. One God, no other methods. Think of a forest that remembers its roots, where the canopy is honored and the undergrowth is allowed its small ministry. The rains keep their covenant. The roots drink deep and feed one another through unseen filaments. No tree hoards the water it cannot use. But clear-cut the slope, strip the floor, and you do not only remove trees, you cancel clouds. Floods rush where channels once listened, then drought starves where rivers had learned patience. It is the same with a people. When we cut down our root of conscious oneness and replace it with the machinery of push and pull, we should not be surprised at erosions of trust and dry weather in the soul. Restore the root, be still, refuse interference, and the rainfall of grace returns, not as a storm of spectacle, but as a steady season that keeps the hills green. Blessing flows universally when no one is using anyone. Freely ye have received, freely give. Where there is no barter in attention, no trade in fear, no hook in kindness, the law of love ripens our common life. I do not need your agreement to be whole, nor do you need my pressure to be wise. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument, and the instrument must never play another's song. When I want nothing, you have, and you want nothing, I have. There is no war, only a table spread where each brings what they are and none lack. Then the ancient word comes true. They shall sit, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid. A world without manipulation ripens under the law of love. Begin where you stand. In your oneness with God, find completeness, security, peace, joy, fulfillment, and let that quiet sufficiency become bread for many without your trying to feed them. Thy grace is our sufficiency in all things. And we rest while the land grows soft again under a generous sky. Sit, be still. Let the chair hold what it can hold, and let the body drop back into the background of awareness until it is quiet as furniture. In this pause, withdraw your sense of location from fingers, toes, and breath. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. I and my Father are one. I am not in the physical. No surgeon has ever yet found any me inside of a body. Where then is the I? Not here, not there, not measurable. Rest the question. Let the answer answer itself as presence. Be still and know that I am God. Now whisper the password that has opened so many inner doors and left no fingerprints on any. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Say it once for yourself and mean it. Say it again, wide as a sky, for me, for them, for all. Thy grace no other, my sufficiency in all things, my conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Do not aim that truth. Do not throw it like a net. No, no. Send forth no thing. Do not project thought, current, image, or wish. Hold to recognition only, and let omnipresence be omnipresence. Wait now. desireless, and do not help the moment. Do not brace for it. Do not beckon it. If there is a click, it will come by itself, quiet, unadvertised, unmistakable. The door that opens inwardly without a hand on the knob, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. And if no click comes, do not call that absence. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Rest anyway. The law is not a stagehand waiting for your cue. Law is God being God, and your part is stillness without strain. When peace has done what words cannot rise, rise without projection, without advice, without the small agenda that wants to steer the hour, carry nothing forward but the seal. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Walk into rooms empty of pressure and full of God. The Lord, He it is that doth go before thee. He will be with thee. Grace goes before you. Goodness and mercy shall follow you. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path, not my spotlight upon another's road. Let this be the charge that finishes and begins every work. Send forth no thing. Do not project. Do not manipulate. Be still and let God be the doer. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. I do nothing of myself. The Father that dwelleth in me, He doeth the works. So we seal it here, quietly, finally, with the sentence that is both shield and bread. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, for me, for them, for all. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is our sufficiency in all things. And we rest, and we go, and God goes before.